Well, it's that time of year again, WrestleMania season. As I was thinking of ways to incorporate that into a video, one thing stood out to me. One thing felt like it was worthy of the Showcase of the Immortals. Freddy versus Jason. It was a matchup 15 years in the making, and spoiler alert, it did not disappoint. It delivered exactly what I wanted from a film like this. So yeah, I think Freddy vs. Jason is a WrestleMania main event worthy match. Let's dive into that on this episode of Ringside Review. Welcome back to WWH. My name is Andrew Dreamer. There are certain sporting events throughout the year that just feel big. They feel important. Things like the Super Bowl, March Madness, the Masters. Well, I put WrestleMania in that same category. Admittedly though, I haven't been as interested in WWE's stories lately, but I will always catch up and be there for Mania. I mean, it's like I said, the Showcase of the Immortals. It's the grandest stage of them all. It's one of the most iconic events of all time, hands down, no question. Every professional wrestler at some point has dreamed of main eventing WrestleMania, myself included. I think that anybody who says different probably isn't being completely honest, but the point is, it's a big deal. Just like the subject of today's video, Freddy vs. Jason. The first thing that comes to my mind is Rock vs. Hogan at WrestleMania 18. Icon versus icon. And yeah, technically, this wasn't the main event of the show, but come on. We all know that it was the real main event. Freddy vs. Jason had that same feel to it. That same special attraction feel that every fan had been clamoring for years. And in my opinion, it delivered in the same special way. So, of course, this felt like the perfect opportunity to talk about a movie that is really damn good. Before we get to the action though, be sure to body slam that subscribe button and drop kick that like button as hard as you possibly can so you never miss out on any of the hard-hitting, chill-inducing 5-star matches we have here at WWH. On that note, it is bell time, so grab your popcorn and make your way to your seat. Let's head down to the ring.
Welcome to WrestleMania!
Alright, let's get into the plot of Freddy vs. Jason. After being trapped in hell following his last defeat, Freddy Krueger has lost his ability to invade the dreams of children. His power has faded because the adults of Springwood have wiped out all traces of his existence, even going so far as to lock away anyone who still dreams about him in Weston Hills Psychiatric Hospital. There, patients are giving the dream-suppressing drug Hypnosil to keep Freddy from returning. Desperate to escape his powerless state, Freddy discovers Jason Voorhees in hell, and using what little strength he has left, Freddy resurrects Jason by taking on the form of his mother, Pamela. He then manipulates Jason into going on a killing spree on Elm Street, knowing that the fear it creates will make people remember him, and ultimately restore his power. Teenager Laurie Campbell lives with her widowed father. One night while hanging out with her friends Kia and Gib, along with Gib's boyfriend Trey and his friend Blake, things take a violent turn. And also I'd just like to point out that Trey he's an asshole. But Jason shows up and brutally kills Trey in one of the best kills ever, then goes on to murder Blake as well as Blake's father. In the aftermath, the police begin to suspect that Freddy has returned, though they try to keep that quiet. Unfortunately, Laurie overhears them mentioning his name. Meanwhile, her ex-boyfriend Will Rollins and his friend Mark Davis, both who are patients at Weston Hills and have had past encounters with Freddy, they see a news report about the murders and escape from the hospital to warn Laurie. Later that night, Laurie and her friends then head out to a rave in a cornfield, which honestly seems like a terrible idea given the circumstances, but whatever. While there, Freddy tries to kill a passed out Gib in her dreams, but Jason gets to her first and kills her in the real world before going on a full-blown rampage through the party. It's at this point that Freddy realizes Jason really isn't helping him all that much. His random, indiscriminate killing spree is actually working against Freddy by taking away the fear and the victims he needs to regain his strength. Our characters then regroup and flee, joined by the school nerd Lenderman and a stoner named Freebird. Along the way, Will discovers a dark secret. He claims that he witnessed Laurie's father killing her mother and believes that he was institutionalized at Weston Hills to keep him from ever telling anyone the truth. Not long after that, Mark falls asleep and is killed in a dream by Freddy, who carves the words Freddy's back into his body to spread fear in an undeniable way. Meanwhile, Deputy Stubbs begins to suspect that others on the police force are hiding the truth about Freddy and decides to help the teens. The group comes up with a plan to pull Freddy into the real world and force him to face off against Jason. To set this up, they transport an unconscious Jason to his old stomping grounds, Camp Crystal Lake, hoping that it will trigger the confrontation. Back in the dream world, though, Freddy takes advantage of Jason's deep fear of drowning, using it to torment and to control him. Laurie then enters the dream herself to confront Freddy, where she discovers the truth. Freddy was the one who killed her mother, and Will had actually just misunderstood what he saw that night. Laurie's father had actually been trying to wake her mother up, not harm her. Laurie then wakes up and manages to pull Freddy into the real world just as Jason regains consciousness at Crystal Lake. And it's here where the film really amps up and we kick the final showdown between these two icons off. It's like their earlier confrontations were just the build-up to the match. But here we are finally. They've made their entrances, the crowd is going fucking bananas, and they're staring each other down. Jason launches into an attack, and then Freddy and Jason do battle for several minutes, each one getting their shine in. I mean, we get it all. The back and forth, the heat spots, the double downs, it's phenomenal. But don't forget, we still have our group of teens running around here too. Lenderman tries to hold off Jason long enough for Kia to escape, but he's violently thrown into a wall and ends up dying from his wounds. As Jason and Freddy continue their clash of champions across the campgrounds, Kia steps in to distract Freddy, giving Laurie and Will a chance to get away, but the move costs her as Jason kills her moments later. The fight between Freddy and Jason intensifies, with Freddy eventually gaining the upper hand until Laurie interferes, creating an opening for Jason to drive his fist straight through Freddy's torso. Freddy then jams Jason's machete into his side, but Jason responds by ripping off Freddy's gloved arm. As the chaos unfolds, Laurie and Will set the dock on fire, triggering a massive explosion that sends both killers into the lake. Freddy soon resurfaces and makes one last attempt to kill them, but Jason rises up behind him and impales Freddy with his own severed arm before collapsing back into the water. Seizing the moment, Laurie grabs the machete and decapitates Freddy, finally bringing the nightmare to an end. At least for now. The next morning, Jason rises from the lake, still standing, with Freddy's severed head in his hand. Just when it seems like it's truly over, Freddy suddenly gives a cheeky little wink, and his unmistakable laughter echoes, hinting that he may not be gone after all. And that is where the story ends. I think this was the perfect way to end the movie, and I'll get more into that in just a minute though, but at this point, I want to hear from you. Let me know if you made it this far in the video, and then tell me what your favorite part of this movie is. But now let's get into the positives for Freddy vs. Jason. Like I mentioned just a minute ago, I think the ending of this movie is near perfection. I think it elevates both Freddy and Jason in a way that feels satisfying. And honestly, I think satisfying is a good adjective to describe the feeling of this entire movie. But specifically as it relates to the ending, it satisfied me a hell of a lot. Relating this back to wrestling, ideally in a wrestling match, both competitors are elevated by the end. Obviously, there are varying levels to that, but the sentiment stands. I'm of the belief that the athletes both go in with the mindset, that they're trying to get each other over. Then it's much easier to achieve that goal of elevation, especially if we're looking at this like a WrestleMania main event. It seems like Jason comes out on top, but then you get the wink. Freddy's not gone. He may be headless at the moment, but he's never truly gone. Maybe he's just biding his time, waiting for the perfect opportunity to come back. It's like when The Undertaker would lose a buried alive match. He'd go away for a while and then come back with a reckoning. That's how I view this ending. Something else I like a lot about this movie is the brutality and the gore. I mentioned the Trey kill earlier, and that is such a good moment. Is it over the top? Sure, but it's awesome. Bro literally got folded up backwards in a bed. And I'm no stranger to back pain, but I think Trey's got me beat there for sure. And that's just one example. You can point out any of the kills in this movie, and they're all pretty good. In terms of the characters, I like most of them. Lori's a good final girl, Gib is cool, Freeberg freaking rules. Freddy and Jason are both performed well, and while I do feel bad for Kane Hodder because I know how badly he wanted to be a part of this, I can't deny that Ken Kersinger is pretty imposing. And of course, I do have to point out that this is the last time Robert Englund would don the Freddy makeup on film. I gotta be honest, he killed it. He absolutely knocked it out of the park. He understood the assignment and he chose the scenery. Freddy vs. Jason also doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it clocks in at like an hour and 37 minutes or something like that. It's not drawn out for the sake of adding runtime. Freddy and Jason get in the ring, they put on a show, and they take it home. I also think the soundtrack is perfect for the vibe they were going for. That metal soundtrack is definitely a product of the time, but also fits perfectly with the fight scenes and all the brutality and the choreography, everything there. I mean, if you don't get hyped up when that music kicks in and the icons are going at it, there's probably no helping you. I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel. I just love every second of it. Genuinely, I do. The last thing I'll mention is this. The movie knows exactly what it is. It knows that it's ridiculous, that it's over the top and dumb at times, and they lean into that shit. I mean, it's insane, stupid, dumb fun. And when you're making a movie, it's easy to try to take yourself too seriously. And don't get me wrong, there are some very serious moments here, but it's sort of encompassed by a lot of goofy stuff too. Then you blanket all of that with the marquee matchup, Freddy versus Jason. You look at all those layers and you get something that was truly special, something that fans could really get behind, something that hasn't been done since and probably won't be done in the same way ever again. It reminds me of the tagline for Rock and Cena's first match, once in a lifetime. Of course, though they had a rematch, so who knows, maybe one day so will Freddy and Jason. I know I'd like that. Now, let's switch gears just a bit and look at the negative side of things for a moment. I'm going to be fairly quick in this section, mostly because I don't have a lot of bad things to say about the movie. But I don't think any movie is perfect, just like I don't think any wrestling match is perfect either. There's always something that could be done better, even if it's just the smallest detail. Admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of some of Ronnie Yu's direction. I can't even really point out anything in particular. I just know that there are certain moments where the choices he makes don't vibe with me, and that's okay. It's an artistic choice that, we all don't have to like it. And sometimes the writing falls a little flat too. And what I mean by that is that the dialogue just doesn't always land for me. Some of the stuff that the characters say just feels unnatural and stiff, and that sort of brings me to my next point, which is that there are some really dumb decisions made by the characters. Going to a rave after a murder, splitting up, running into dangerous situations head first. It just gets silly. But the biggest issue I have with Freddy vs. Jason is that Jason's, supposed fear of water is used to torment him. I mean, what do you mean Jason is afraid of water? He spends half of the Friday the 13th movies in the water. He's certainly not afraid to go into the water to kill someone. He does it willingly. That part just makes no sense to me. But even then, I can create my own sort of headcanon to get past it. None of these things pull me out of the story or stop me from enjoying it for what it is, a true clash of champions. But there you have it. That is Freddy vs. Jason. That is the ultimate WrestleMania main event. Seriously, just imagine the spectacle of seeing Freddy and Jason walk down the aisle to the ring, the pyro exploding around them, the ominous lighting. Matches don't get any bigger than this, and I am here for it. I have so much fun with this movie, but let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. And also, let me know what other horror matchups you think would make great WrestleMania main events. I know this review was a little different, but I really wanted to do something related to WrestleMania. And, I'll be watching both nights this weekend. And if you plan to as well, what matches are you looking forward to the most? Now that we've talked about Freddy versus Jason for a while, what are some of the worst horror tropes of all time? Luckily, you can find out by clicking the video that is appearing on your screen now. And remember, in the squared circle of horror, there are no countouts for nightmares. My name is Andrew Dreamer, and this is Wrestling with Horror.